the caper that's been happening there. A lot of stuff we spoke about pre-game is kind of, in one way, shape, or form, kind of came true to pass. Now, I've got to say, when Skorupski gave the ball away, I was really happy that I said he was the only player I thought was that half good. So I thought, I've jinxed that into happening. I'm absolutely buzzing for it. First half was a real roller coaster. We're live and loud now. Celtic are 2-0 up and a man down away to Bologna. Coming into the game, I don't think anyone was super pessimistic. There was always that kind of chance of could something crazy happen. And by golly, Anthony, was that first half crazy.
Well, I said roller coaster supporting Celtic this year, and I think that half pretty much sums it up. Absolute bliss, first 5 minutes. We could have been 2 up, so we score a tap in. Hatate's main contribution to the game. We'll touch on him in a minute. And then Yang, like a minute later, could have made it 2, and that really would have got us going. But a bit of a Greek tragedy. The referee getting suckered in there, second booking to Hatate has sort of changed the complexion of the game. So gone down to 10 men. And then out of nowhere, we win a corner. And Austin Trusty, who's been absolutely immense, by the way, I've counted at least 3 or 4 blocks, critical blocks that he's made, gets on the end of a flick on from, I think it was Snecki. And we're 2-0 up. I don't think Bologna can believe it. I can't believe it. All to play for in the second half. It's not ideal. We're trip to Tynecastle on the weekend that we're brought to play 60 minutes with 10 men. Maeda also walking a tightrope with a yellow card, but tell you what, it's all to play for. We could come away with a famous victory here if we keep it tight, and so far so good.
I don't know about yous, but when the Hatate second yellow card came out, I immediately started getting Nicolo Amoruso, Juventus, Turin, PTSD. And as soon as that feeling washed across me, Martin O'Neill came on screen and it was ravaging him. You could really see how angry, how animated he was at being in Italy again and a referee playing screwball with us, as it were. Stevie, how do we find you at halftime?
Apologies for coming up late. I was struggling to get connected there. It's a weird first half because we've definitely been under the cosh sort of 20 minutes onwards, and the second yellow I could see coming. He was definitely getting frustrated. I think he got frustrated that he was hoping for a foul. I didn't think it was a foul. It was almost he was waiting for contact and went down. So I wasn't shocked that they've spotted that and played on it. It's an unbelievable start. It's the goal that they've conceded is right up Celtic away from home in Europe, but it's usually us that concede those types of goals. Trusty's been absolutely colossal, and I hope to God I'm touch wood, not jinxing him, but the block he made, like you've mentioned, the goal, the headers, he's been all over that back. We look pretty solid, and fair play to Schmeichel, he's put off a couple of good saves. There was one actually, the shot for distance, it was actually looked as if it was going straight in the bottom corner, and it hit, I think Trusty caught it with his hip or his backside, which went out for a corner. So, yeah, it's going to be back to the wall again, but they're definitely forgetting that at the back. I'm just hoping that Maeda is closing down but not leaving the boot in, because obviously he's walking a tightrope now. But I was the same as you. I just had visions of Juventus away, and I'm sure if the game goes against us, which I hope it won't, you can guarantee Martin O'Neill's coming out with some of those old words that made only an excuse back in the day.
He was really animated, you could really feel that he was maybe feeling a bit of that coming into it. Trusty, I think clearly head and shoulders our most important player in the first half. He's been imperious. I make you quite right on the statistics. I've got him down for 3 blocks and 4 clearances. On top of that, he's got a clearance off the line. And of course, he scored a goal as well. So monstrous performance from the big man. And he's only made 12 passes. It's not as if we've been on the ball very much out the back. On top of that as well, we've had, I don't know, Hatate, I find that quite unforgivable, that second yellow. Like you say, it was kind of on the cards in terms of how the game was going. You could see he was getting frustrated, and the ref was giving silly free kicks quite often. We even at 1-0 up, we were losing a bit of control and momentum in the game due to that. And like I was saying pre-match, he's got experience of these venues, opponents, situations, and to bite so hard on that. Now he's, it is what it is, man. But Yang got the boy Miranda back quite quickly, bought a yellow card for him. So it might become 10 versus 10. I wouldn't really rule that one out. I must admit as well, I'm really impressed with how the team organised themselves really quickly on the pitch. It did look like we went straight to like a 4-4-1. Yang's kind of been a bit central at times when the ball's been on the left. We've really kind of fought on our feet in game very, very well. And it set us up for that second goal because, I think, we're getting to that stage where Bologna are huffing and puffing. They're pushing more players up on the pitch. They kind of smell blood in the water. And, to get that second goal, it changes the whole complexion. 1-0 is great. But, when you're down to 10 men, you can be the architects of your own disaster by just trying to hold on. 1-0 being very tenuous. 2-0 is not much better, especially at halftime, but I feel a whole lot different. There's a lot of people in the chat saying, talking about subs and how the team could change and all the rest of it. I think Dyson with a yellow card is almost a certainty at this point. We're going to need to run him into the ground. I've seen some chat about Taneke. I don't think Taneke's been bad first half. I just don't think he's been, maybe as good as Yang. Yang's won a lot of his duels. He's won tackles. He's played well on the ball. But he's not been booked, and he's quite good energy at left mid, which is kind of where we need him right now. I mean, you look at the bench, like who are you bringing on for him, really? So could we see Johnny Kenny get some place in the second half? That could be an interesting angle.
I think Taneki's the one that you'd be looking to bring off. You'd maybe look for Bernardo to put a bit more running power and a bit more steel in the midfield and just go with a flat 4-4-1. I think Donovan's been excellent. I mean, he's up against the Argentine on the left wing, who's been really tricky, and he's managed to sort of get the better of him. Tierney's struggling against the English boy out in the right wing. He had a cracking run, and obviously, I think it was Trusty again. It managed to save the day on that one. So, if we're going to make a change at half time, I think Taneki's the one out of everyone that's most likely to, for the chop. But I don't think he's had a bad game, but I don't think he's done a hell of a lot, going forward. They've been pretty solid on that side, and he's come up against a tough opponent, I think.
Yeah, fair enough. I can see that. You move Dyson into the left, and you kind of solidify up a wee bit off the ball. I can see that for sure. We spoke about the versatility of Negren. I think whatever he does off the bench would certainly change things. I think at 1-0, I was thinking I would have liked to have seen at halftime the Brendan Rodgers 4-3-2. And you maybe bring Negren on for like a Taneke, and you leave Yang and Maeda up front. You bring Negren into a midfield 3 type situation. But because you need a wee bit of threat still in the game, I would feel at 1-0 so that you don't just set yourself up for disaster, and you can take opportunities if they were to present themselves. But at 2-0, like, let's get out of here, man. Let's get out of here with this result is kind of what I'm thinking, and how do we go best about that without just giving away the whole pitch and camping on the box, because we know how that goes. So we'll be able to do it in the second half. I'm with you as well. I think Donovan's played pretty well without being like spectacular. And yeah, like the bench was a bit of a conversation at the beginning. Is there anyone else from the bench that maybe we wrote off before the game that maybe now comes into the picture because of the situation, Stevie?
I think Kenny. I think Kenny comes into the picture now because you're going to be doing a lot of empty running. And I think at some point, Maeda's probably either going to blow a gasket, or you're going to get to that point where you're worried that he's going to pick up that second yellow. So I think get 10, 15, 20 minutes out of Maeda, and then chuck Kenny on and just tell him just to run his guts out for the rest of the game and just apply pressure where possible. I agree with Stephen. I think Taneke, not that he's not playing badly, but just a sacrificial lamb, as it were, to bring on Bernardo just to give you that extra bit of midfield dig. So whether that happens at half-time or again it happens at that sort of 55, 60-minute mark, maybe depends on if we can keep it to 2-0 at that point. But I wouldn't be surprised if that's maybe the change, because I just think Bernardo will give you a bit of dig. And just allows us just to sort of roll it out. Because my biggest concern there, that last 5-10 minutes, is we started getting deeper and deeper into our box, and we kind of need to just keep our line just a wee bit higher, just to apply the pressure on Bologna a little bit higher up the park. I know we're against 10 men, we've got 10 men. You're going to invite pressure, but we just have to be mindful of that. The more we can sort of keep doing what we have been doing. It's, again, very hard to do for 90 minutes. But that's really what's keeping us at 2-0 at the moment, and we just can't forget that. But it is easy just to fall further and further, deeper and deeper, and then you just start inviting shots from all around the place and conceding multiple corners and things like that. And it's a real shame, because we actually started the game incredibly well. And it was actually when Dyson Maeda went off, he lost a contact lens, I think, and he went off the park. and we were down to 10 men. And that's actually what allowed Bologna to actually get a foothold in the game and actually put us under a bit of pressure for about 10 minutes. So you have to wonder if that didn't happen, maybe would have sort of maintained the pressure. But 2-0 at half time, you'd have taken the heartbeat. But, the 10 men situation is going to make it incredibly challenging in the second half.
I'm with you. I think it's all pressure and all eyes on Bologna as well at home, against 10 men. What can you do with that? They did have, I seen it by the time I got to my screen. They had Orsolini on the bench. They've got another couple of options, the boy Castro as well. So you expect them to kind of keep trying to turn the screw. Again, like I mentioned coming into this game, if we do spook them, if we did somehow gain control of this game, like they did rotate their team coming into it. And I think if we can keep it the way it is, or heaven forbid, even score a third goal, dare you imagine such a thing? Then, they might run out of puff. They might run out of steam, a bit of motivation, because once it's like 2-0 and it's like 5-10 minutes, they're not getting a sniff. Momentum's a big thing. Confidence is a big thing. And I think for this Celtic team, this situation, the second half, is going to be a real test of character. And with the organisation from the touchline, as well as a lot of the individuals, like Engels has been brilliant. I think you could individually probably highlight, to some extent, I'd probably say maybe 7 or 8 of the players' first half has been really of level and showing, by comparison to the Bologna players, that we're up to scratch with you in the watch us go. So I'm confident that we're gonna see this one out. I'm hopeful that there's no more drama. I can't guarantee that, obviously. But yeah, in terms of, we had pre-match predictions, guys. Have you changed much? You went with 2-2, Anthony, to counter the 1-1 I dropped. I'm obviously bombed out now. But how do you feel about yours? And then we'll come to you, Stevie.
Yeah, I hope we come away with the result. I think on first half performance, we definitely deserve a result. If it was 2-0, fantastic. Like, that's absolutely amazing. 2-1, yes, fantastic. 2 each, you take it, given the situation. All results to play for. If we come away and we don't get a result here, you'd be disappointed, and that's really going to be on Hatate's brain fade, because there was absolutely no need for it. He got suckered into that one massively. He was soft in a couple of challenges prior to that, and it's just built up, and he's just got frustrated and lost the head. And you can't do that in Europe. It's unforgivable. So yeah, so I'm 2 each. I've predicted that, but I'll take 2-0, 2-1, whatever. 3 points would be amazing, and that really, like I say, gives our chances of qualification for the next round a massive shot in the arm. Maybe enough even to get us there just on that, but we'll see.
Stevie?
Well, I went 2-1. So my Engels free kick is for the winners out the window at this stage for 2-1. This referee looks really card happy. So what I hope how the second half plays out is we frustrate them and we get to sort of 65, 70 still at 2-0, even if we're still backs to the wall, because that's when you start to feel that they may start to get a bit frustrated, and I think we have to kill every moment, by kicks, throw-ins. If we get fouled, we're down, wasting time. We have to turn on them what they would normally do to us for this second half. The dark arts. We've always been rubbish at dark arts in all Scottish teams, actually. So I'm hoping that's how it plays out. I wouldn't be surprised if Negrin come on and played almost like a false 9 forward in the second half, as opposed to Kenny, just because Negrin does offer that goal threat, and he could drop into midfield as well. But yeah, it's as long as we get out of here unbeaten, I think that's a positive, just considering the circumstances. I'm hoping that we can even the numbers at some point in the second half, but there's no guarantees of that. So yeah, just as long as we don't lose the game from this point, I'd be still happy.
Likewise. And the thing I mentioned before in the Grenford Teneke, it looks like it's probably going to be a wee 4-3-2 or a 4-5. It's probably what it's going to look like quite often. So anyway, the game is kicking off. Thanks to everyone that's tuned in. We'll see you for full time on A Celtic State of Mind.